Well, it's a surprise episode just because, yes, we did celebrate the new year going from 2022 to 2023. But if you pay attention to our social media on Facebook and Instagram, we did have a countdown. We had the top 5 moments of 2022. And I decided, hey, why not? Let's just have a quick episode going over those top 5 moments. Welcome, everybody. This is the Cowtown Cats Lacrosse Podcast. I am Nicholas, joined by Andy.
Happy 2023, everyone.
And so, 2022, top 5 moments. Well, we will start with number 5 and go down to number 1. Again, you can find all of these on our social media platforms, on Facebook and on Instagram. But to start off, our top 5 moments for 2022, at number 5, we had our 5-game winning streak. Where to start to talk about this one? Again, I've mentioned it before. It set us up to be kind of a team to be reckoned with for a while, and I think it did great for the team. It kind of set us up into playoff contention. It kind of brought the confidence up of the team too. It definitely was a turning point for the year. It made the team go from, here's the expansion team that, we'll pay attention to, but not really worried they'll do anything, to, hey, this team's kind of winning a lot of games, and we need to pay attention, because if we don't do what we need to do, the other teams, as far as they're looking at Panther City, if they didn't do what they needed to do on their side, I mean, there's a good chance Panther City was going to steal their spot. So, I thought it was a good confidence builder. It definitely, pulled them within striking range of the playoffs. I mean, just going down these 5 games, the first win once against the Vancouver Warriors. I mean, that was that first, home win for us. And then the Saskatchewan Rush was next. We won another close game, 17-16. Then a game against Colorado, which I believe that was the at Colorado game. We won 20-14. Really kind of a strong showing there. And then we went against the Roughnecks after that. That was 14-11. And then finally, that last win that we had in this stretch was against Colorado again. So it was a good stretch. It was 5 games in a row. You really can't say that. A lot of teams can't really say that they could go on a winning streak like that every year. So, it really was putting Panther City in the thick of things, and kind of in the minds of the rest of the NLL. Andy, you kind of got more interested and more into the team during that winning streak. Wayne, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it couldn't have come at a more opportune time for all the reasons you mentioned. And another element of it, all those teams that Panther City beat during that winning streak, it was a revenge tour of sorts, because those were all teams that had beaten them earlier on in the year. And so once they got the monkey off their back of saying, hey, we can actually hang with these teams, not just hang with them, but defeat them in close games and blowouts, just whatever any given night may call for, they certainly learned that they belonged in this league.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that obviously a notable wins against the eventual NLL champions. Yes. I know we talked about it in our review of last year, but that game against Colorado was when Damoud had his goal.
The empty netter from the
empty netter. Never forget that. Never forget that Nick Damoud has a goal against the NLL champions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And yeah, like you said, having that sort of run, it's great for an expansion team, especially in its first year, and especially in a non-traditional lacrosse market.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and so it was overall it was a good for the team, but it was good for the fans. I mean, I think it really kind of brought more attention to them, obviously, but at the same time, it made us feel like, hey, even though we're an expansion team, we got a fighting chance, and we're not gonna be walked all over, every game.
Right.
So, no, it was definitely a highlight of 2022 for sure. Number 4, man, again, he's been my big cat player of the game, I think a few times so far, but Patrick Dodds almost winning Rookie of the Year. I put that at 4 because he didn't win. It would have been higher up, but he almost won. And and I think I wrote in there the stats, and you're a pretty good stat guy. So why was he in second place?
Well, he did a great job on offense. He ranks, like you mentioned, he ranked second in rookie points and assists. As far as our team goes, he led Panther City in total points and assists. I think Caputo might have had a few more goals than him, but just the fact that this first year player can come in and pretty much dominate the league the way that he did on his side of the ball is really impressive.
Yeah, and the best way you can describe it was he kind of became an offensive juggernaut for a while there. And again, he was a big part of that 5-game win streak, because there was a few games in there where, yeah, maybe the rest of their offense wasn't, doing the best, at that time. But then you had Dodds coming in and just being that powerhouse and like just forcing some goals in, and it was great. Even though he did miss out on Rookie of the Year from the NLL, he was voted as the Panther City Player of the Year, which is kind of interesting. I don't really know how often that happens where a team picks a rookie as the Player of the Year. I mean, usually that's like a seasoned veteran or something like that. But man, it just goes to show you kind of the impact he had on last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes to show that it definitely gives you something to grow on. Like if a new franchise that's just in its first year, if one of the most popular players, not just with fans, but the team itself, is one of the young guys, there's nothing better than that.
Right, and just kind of looking forward, I mean, obviously the 23 season is going on right now. I mean, it just kind of opens the door for these opportunities for these other rookies, like we've talked about with Donville and Gaucher, kind of getting in there and making a difference, So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with this year. As I've stated before, Dodds, I mean, he doesn't slow down. He had an amazing offseason. And he came into this season just, continuing that streak. I hope 2023, keeps going good for him. So, number 3, I had to look it up just to make sure it was in the year of 2022. But yes, their first home win at home against Vancouver. I mean, what can I say? It was a good feeling overall. I mean, it started them on that 5-game win streak,
right.
But just getting that first home win, I think, was a good thing from a fan's perspective, just because again you want to cheer for this team, you want good things to happen, you just now you have that better feeling of, oh hey, we're going to be in this with every game, and we're going to win more than a lot of people thought. So like I said, it was almost like a revenge game against Vancouver.
Yeah, because they had beat us at Vicky's arena and in their own arena.
Oh yeah.
And this was the first close game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and I think that's what really kind of made it that more special almost, is because, so again, I had to kind of remember back. So this had happened on the same night where they did Indigenous, what they call it? It was like Indigenous night or something like that. It was pretty much the
origins of lacrosse.
The origins of lacrosse, yeah. And so they were really like, they had the people there. I think I mentioned it before, where they were playing like an original game where lacrosse came from before the game started, and they had a lot of highlights. And then they had like this whole halftime show where they talked about the culture that it came from, and so it just kind of had an overall special feeling to it. And so it just made it that much better when we were able to get that first win on that kind of a night. Getting that first win out of the way, not only, well, I mean, obviously first win is always a good thing, but getting that first home win is just a good feeling, and I think it really set them on a good track, obviously, with winning the next 4 after that. So thankfully they got that. So like I said earlier, Patrick Dodds didn't get Rookie of the Year, but somebody did win an accolade at the end of the year, and that is Coach Tracy Kelusky winning NLL Coach of the Year. I mean, he took a team that everybody had pretty much said, okay, expansion team, expect a few wins, and made them a contender.
Yeah, it basically was the best year that an expansion franchise has ever had in its inaugural season. And to do that, not just within the season itself, but you think about coming out of the shortened or canceled season because of the pandemic and everything, coming down to a state that didn't have a NLL team before for professional lacrosse there, and just having the success that he had, especially after that what was it, a 1-8 start?
Oh
so
yeah,
the rebound the way that it did showed a lot of resilience on his and the team's part, and he was definitely the captain that steered the ship through some murky waters.
well, and I think that's what kind of set them up for that success, is that, you know, it's easy to start a season off like that where you aren't winning games, and you have close games but you keep losing them, or whatever the case may be, and it's easy to just feel like, okay, well, scratch the rest of this year off, let's start looking towards next year. And he kind of had the opposite effect. He coached them in a way and put them in a position to succeed and become a better team for it. It goes to show you, you know, if you have the right person and you have the right people in place, you know, especially in a team setting like that, anything can happen. So yeah, first year as a head coach, he gets Coach of the Year, bringing an expansion team into playoff contention. I also put in a note here. I mean, he's a great ambassador to the community. He's always like doing interviews on like shows and stuff like that. He's always doing community events. Even, you know, we've talked about even the fan appreciation night at the end of the year. He was in you know, sometimes, you know, they'll hang on the outside and not really want to talk to people a whole lot, and they'll come to them. But no, he was in the thick of things the whole night, and so it just goes to show you what kind of a person he is. So, I mean, yeah, you got to meet him for a few minutes. I mean, what was your personal feelings on it?
Super approachable. we got to talking about. I think we were both wearing like kind of burgundy or maroon colored wardrobes. He had like a full suit, and I had some burgundy corduroys. So we were kind of going back and forth, like, it's burgundy, no, it's red or dark red, that kind of thing. So yeah, real fun guy, and you know, he's a National Lacrosse League legend from his playing career, and so far so good as to the start of his head coaching career in the NLL. So yeah, hopefully he sticks around with Panther City and the game for a long time.
Yeah, and again, I think just watching this year so far, you know, seeing them grow in areas, but then like we had just talked about some of the previous games where they had kind of the team itself, you know, maybe has tripped up a little bit here and there. I think he's the right coach to get them back on track and make that playoff run that they did last year, but even more so this year. So, you know, yeah, Tracy Kelusky, Coach TK, Coach of the Year. Side note, I had posted that on Instagram, and he actually liked it. So, you know, hey.
Oh, nice. Shout out to Coach TK.
Yeah, shout out to the Coach TK. I mean, hope you listen. But yeah, great guy, and here's to the new year with the leading Coach of the Year. For number one, again, the order that I wanted to do this in, it kind of switched back and forth between Coach TK winning Coach of the Year. I thought that was a big moment for them. But obviously, the number one moment of 2022, their first win in franchise history. Up until that point, obviously, they hadn't won a game. You know, only a few games in 2021, 2022. Finally get a chance to go against the New York Riptide, and they get a win. They get their first franchise win,
and in overtime.
In overtime, yeah, no.
On the road.
I had mentioned this story before. Yeah, I was at a bar while football games are going on, and I got so mad because I thought we'd lost. But yeah, no, that was, again, it sets the mindset up for the team to think, okay, now that that's out of the way, now it's almost like having expectations. I mean, from a team standpoint, you have those expectations of, hey, we need to go out there and not only do good, but we need to win. And then when you're not winning, it's hard to like mentally get in the right mindset. And so, from a team standpoint, again, I know you've played in the past. What does that do for not only a player but for the team as a whole to kind of get that weight lifted off with that first win?
It's definitely a big sigh of relief, especially if you've kind of had your peaks and valleys leading up to that point. Either, whether it's losing blowouts, getting really close but losing in overtime, or just with a few minutes left. So it's something that, like you said, once you get it out of the way, you kind of relax a little, and then you can actually not focus so much on, oh gosh, we need to get this win out of the way. You can actually take a step back and hash out the details, like, okay, what led to that success? What are the things that we can still improve on to build upon the success, and that sort of thing. So it definitely does help a team move forward and grow.
Yeah, and it was such a crazy way to end. Like I said, in overtime, and we had thought the Riptide had actually scored, but then the score didn't count, so they pulled it back, and then we ended up winning. So it was obviously full of emotions towards the end of that game. But yeah, to get the first win out of the way, to have that weight lifted off, and say, okay, hey, now the pressure isn't on us to get that first win. The pressure is on us to be a good team and continue to go about our ways, and continue winning if we can. From an expansion standpoint, getting that first win was great out of the way, but the first win in franchise history was very historical. Obviously, 2022, the 2021-2022 season, I think, will be looked at, going forward, especially from a Panther City standpoint, as not only a good start for the team, but a good like coming out party for them. Like,
right.
It wasn't just, hey, we're here and we're gonna play games and we're gonna be part of the NLL. No, it was like, hey, we're part of you guys. We're gonna fight for you guys, or fight and be in the thick of things.
Absolutely.
So, overall, the top 5 moments, I mean, all of them are really awesome. I mean, in your opinion, each list can be different. I mean, what would be your top moment of 2022 for Panther City?
It's really hard for me to rank these, honestly. In some ways, I would want to put either Coach TK's Coach of the Year award or the 5-game win streak on top. Because I guess in my mind, eventually a team is going to, unless they have a terrible injury bug or super bad luck or something,
right.
I would expect a team to eventually get their win in their first season. However, an expansion team coming out with a 5-game win streak, especially given the circumstances of getting them closer to 500 and playoff contention and whatnot, that kind of, for me, it really raised eyebrows. Like, oh wow, no, normally expansion teams are expected to kind of suck and take their lumps and everything, which Panther City certainly did. But the fact that they were able to experience all those kind of low points and still have a decent amount of success in their first season was really impressive.
Well, yeah, and like I said, just putting them in the thick of things. I will say this, quick side note: if I had an extra spot in here, I would put just like a single game performance. If I remember right, it was Patrick Dodds against Colorado. I think he had like 10. He was accounted for 10 points or something like that in the game. And so, yeah, I mean, if there was one extra spot, not a top 5, but a top 6, I would have thrown that in there. But I think just from the grand scheme of things, first win in franchise history, it's a magical moment. And so it'll be interesting to see, now that we're into 2023, kind of what moments we will see in the new year. I will definitely be keeping an eye on what will be a top 5 moment at the end of this year. Now, like you said, I mean, all of them are special. 5-game win streak. Crazy for an expansion team. But yeah. Well, guys, I mean, I know this is kind of a shorter episode. I mean, we just kind of wanted to get together and talk about the top 5 moments that we had posted this year for 2022. But yeah, 2023 is here now. We are ready for a new year, and like I said in the last episode, a new outlook on the year, and hopefully we can get some wins going forward. Once again, thank you for joining us, Andy. As always, thank you for everything. I'm glad that we kicked this off in 2022, and I'm hopeful for a good year in 2023.
Yes, yeah, thank you as well. It's been a fun ride so far, and I gotta say that next home game on February 11th cannot come soon enough, because I love watching the road games on TV live if I can, but I'd much rather see something live and in person.
Yeah, and quick side note to those who are listening, we do have some plans for a meetup during one of those games. We just have to lock down where we're meeting up and which game we're going to do. But yes, please sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for any updates on there. Once again, I am Nicholas.
And I am Andy.
And yeah, again, Happy New Year to everybody, and here's to 2023.
Cheers, y'all.